Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we're opening a can of worms. Now, what do I mean by that? We're doing what they said couldn't be done, or specifically my mod Finn said couldn't be done, and we're playing 3-color aggro. Now, we're cheating a little bit. We're mostly focused on one color and splashing into 2 other colors to really bring it over the top, but you'll see when we get to the deck. Before we get there, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We're trying really hard to get to 1,000 subscribers. You already probably know this, but if we get there, we're going to do a 24-hour marathon stream. You can challenge me to games on stream, and if you beat me, I'll crack a pack on stream, and then I'll mail you those cards, so it's going to be pretty wild. So like, subscribe, share the damn thing, help us defeat the YouTube algorithm, because it's a monster, and it's really got it out for us, but I'm keeping the faith that we can slay that beast, so thank you so much. Let's get to the deck. Alright, so I really pushed myself with this deck to do everything I could to try to make 3 colors work, and it's super tricky to make everything fit the way you need it to fit, especially when you take into account when you want everything to curve out properly while using 3 colors. It requires the use of lands that don't come into play tapped, and that makes things kind of tricky. But let's start at the beginning of the curve here. Now, our 1-drops that we want to play on 1 typically, if we can, are either Kumano faces Kakkazan or the Teething Wurmlet, which is the new card that we saw in the Brothers' War. This is 1 green for a 1/1 worm. It has Death Touch as long as you control 3 or more artifacts, and whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. And if it's the first time this ability is resolved each turn, you put a counter on it. So the idea is if you can get the Teething Wurmlet down early and just start to build value with the Teething Wurmlet, not only does it become a huge threat, not only does it get Death Touch so that it can trade with big threats, you know, such as like Shieldred or whatever might be sitting on the other side of the field, but the important thing to note with this card as well is that it gains you life every time an artifact comes into play, and it doesn't have to be once per turn with that ability. It's once per turn to get the +1/+1 counter, but you can actually gain life every single time an artifact comes into play, and you don't have to cast an artifact spell. It's any artifact coming into play. So there's really interesting ways to trigger this that you could do without actually casting an artifact spell. But what's important about this card is because we need to use so many pain lands, the life that we gain from Teething Wurmlet will make up for the pain that we're taking. If you look at our mana base over here, we've got 4 Karplusan Forest, and that's because we always want green or red on 1 to make sure we can play our most prominent 1-drops. So we've got 4 of those. We've also got 1 Battlefield Forge, 1 Brushland, because red and green are the most important, and then 3 Thran Portals. I really tried to get this number down because Thran Portal is really hard to build around and not take constant damage. If you have more than 1 on the field, it's really hard to play out your deck without just losing half your life to playing your spells. But 3 seems to be the magic number where we need to be here. Now, going back to our 1-drops, again, I can't reiterate this enough. This is why Teething Wurmlet is so important to get down early, or to very carefully play around your opponent and make sure you play it on a turn where you can follow it up with an artifact or 2 to gain some life, to stay on tempo against the opponent's plays, and not just burn yourself down and help them kill you an extra turn sooner by doing so. Very important card, but if it sits on the field, it gets some counters and they don't deal with it right away, it provides so much value and so much aggression that you can just absolutely dominate your opponent. We've also got the Kumano faces Kakkazan, which is great. It's cool to bring this down on 1 and sometimes play Wurmlet on 2 followed by a 1-drop artifact, because then the Wurmlet's a 3/3 on turn 2 and you've gained a life, and now they can't cut down your Wurmlet, stuff like that. So very important to pay attention to what your opponent's playing and to very carefully choose how to curve out your spells. But optimally, you want Kumano or Teething Wurmlet on 1. Some other 1-drop plays we've got are the 4 copies of Goldhound. This is great because the first strike and menace matters a lot when you're trying to just get in for that last bit of damage. You can also sack it for 1 mana of any color, so it helps with the fixing in a 3-color deck if you're desperate. So that's pretty cool. We've got 1 Rabbit Battery, because if we see the first one, we're happy, and it can sit there for the whole game, and from that point on, whatever creatures we play, we can give haste and +1/+1 and swing in with them right away. Sometimes that can matter a lot, but we don't ever really need to see a second copy if we've got the first one in play. The opponent normally won't target this or prioritize this with their removal, so it'll usually sit there. And with a deck like this, there's so many cards we want to fit in that we have to kind of pick and choose some of them to be like, okay, which of these cards are we really happy to see the first one, but we never really care if we see more than one. And some things like Kumano and Wurmlet, every time we see a copy of that, we want it. You know what I mean? But with something like Rabbit Battery, it's okay to cut down to one. I would rather have 4 cards that are one of each that are great the first time you see them but you don't want a copy of, than just to pick one of those cards and have 4 of them, but the second one just feels kind of meh when you get it. So Rabbit Battery is great as a one of here. Same thing with Reinforced Ronin. We can get multiple triggers on our Teething Wurmlet among other cards. And then in the late game, we can also cycle it away to find that last card we need to really just push us over the top and win the game, which is pretty cool. In the 2-drop slot, we have 4 Patchwork Automatons, which we absolutely want to get down early. The ward makes it so they can't deal with it right away. By the time they have 3 mana to cut down it, normally it's at least the 3/3, and then they can't even cut down it. So you really force them into a position that by the time they can deal with the Patchwork Automaton, because it grows so quickly, they probably have other things they need to use their removal on, and now they have to pick and choose. And it's like, screw it if you do, screw it if you don't, because if you kill the automaton, the other stuff that we've played is still there. We have tempo advantage, and we're pressing in hard and putting pressure on the opponent. But if they kill the other things, like a 3/3 Teething Wurmlet, or whatever it might be, like, then we still get to keep our automaton, and that can gain a lot of value and go over the top. So the ward really helps, like, make difficult decisions for our opponent and push off their removal long enough that we have too powerful of a board state that by the time they can use it, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. We've also got 4 Yotia Declares War. Absolutely amazing in this deck. When you make the Thopter on 1, even though this isn't an artifact that you're casting, the Thopter's an artifact, and Wurmlet only cares about artifacts coming into play, so it will trigger the Wurmlet. On 2, you can tap as many artifacts as you want to nuke one of your opponent's permanents, creature or planeswalker, for that amount of damage. So going wide with artifacts really, really helps for Chapter 2. And then on Chapter 3, we get to turn something into a 4/4, any artifact. And a lot of times we win outright, but just turning something that has evasion into a 4/4, sometimes even pumping it up even more after that, and just winning by getting through in the air when they don't see it coming, whether it's the Ornithopter turning into a 4/4, or our 1 copy of Weatherlight Compleated all of a sudden becoming a 4/4. It keeps its flying ability when it becomes a creature, so a lot of times the opponent won't see that coming. Sometimes even just the Goldhound, you know, turning this into a 4/4 menace if they've got only 1 creature. Sometimes you can get through for that last 4 points of damage, and there's just nothing they can do about it. So, yeah, Yotia Declares War, absolutely sick in this deck. Even sicker now that we have a Wurmlet to get value off of artifacts coming into play, and not just playing artifacts like the Automaton. We've also got 4 Michiko's Reign of Truth. Now, this is the reason we're playing white. And this is how we go over the top, right? If we've got a Goldhound in play and they've only got 1 creature, or if we've got an Ornithopter or a Weatherlight that's turning into a creature, or whatever the case may be, there's a couple other cards we'll get to in a minute that can help us with evasion as well. All of a sudden, just triggering Chapter 1 or 2, giving that thing a huge boost, and just swinging in the air and nuking them. Sometimes we can steal wins just out of nowhere, and that's really the win condition. It's funny because the opponent is forced to play against this deck as if it's a pure aggro deck, and they're constantly worried about our board state and our creatures on the ground, putting pressure on them, that sometimes, like a buff like Michiko's Reign of Truth, or the ability to give an evasive creature, turn them into a 4/4 with Yotia Declares War, just allows us to go over the top out of nowhere without them seeing it coming, and we just win while they've diverted their attention to our ground forces, because it's building up to be an overwhelming force that they need to contend with. So very, very cool way to sneak wins out, and it happens all the time. We've also got a couple other win conditions here. First up is Eater of Virtue. This is a 1-drop legendary artifact equipment. Gives an equipped creature +2/+0 for only 1 mana. But the important part of this is if it's equipped to a creature and that creature dies, the creature gets exiled, and Eater of Virtue basically picks up any keyword abilities that that creature has. So in a deck like this, we can slap an Eater of Virtue on a Goldhound, and when it dies, now we can give any creature First Strike and Menace, which again, if we put it on something big like an Automaton or a Wurmlet and they've only got one blocker, we can just swing through for the win because of the Menace. Same thing with Reinforced Ronin or Rab Battery. If we have it attached to one of those two and it dies, now Eater of Virtue will be able to give anything haste, which is super sick. Now all of a sudden, we've got a situation where like Michiko's Reign of Truth hits Chapter 3, flips into a 7/7, and all we have to do is pay 1 mana to equip Eater of Virtue, and then all of a sudden it's a 9/7 haste and just swings in, and our opponent can't do anything about it. So, very cool card to have one of. It's legendary. It's another one of those cards where we don't ever really want to see a second copy, so it's a perfect choice to be a one of in this deck. Speaking of one-ofs, we also have another win condition in Draconic Destiny. Now, this is sort of like a new Maul of the Skyclaves in a lot of ways. This comes into play, we put it on our biggest creature. A lot of times we'll put it on Automaton because the ward means that they can't blow us out by killing the creature right away. And we can just swing in for a ton of damage. The fact that we can use colorless mana to pump up the creature, that this is enchanting, is super beneficial in this deck. Because like I said before, we have so many pain lands that all of a sudden we play something like Draconic Destiny, and now we can just use them all for their colorless mana to pump up Draconic Destiny, not take any pain, and swing in for a ton of damage, or at the very least be able to block and nuke one of their really big creatures without them kind of seeing it coming. But what's special about this card, and I think it's kind of better than Maul of the Skyclaves in a way, not in every way, but in this way, when the creature dies, the Destiny comes back to our hand, and then we can replay it for 3 mana. And since it gives haste, we can constantly have whatever creature we're coming into play being able to swing with flying and haste, and it only costs 3 mana to equip the Draconic Destiny, whereas if we had a Maul of the Skyclaves into play, the way we might try to do in before rotation, when that card was prominent in a deck like this, that would cost 4 mana to re-equip, whereas this only costs 3 mana to replay from our hands. So I feel like Draconic Destiny is a really, really good one-of, specifically because it comes back to our hand whenever the creature dies. So we can just keep putting it on creatures until they run out of removal, and eventually we just swing over for the win. This is another one of those cards I would really love to add more copies of, but the deck is so jam-packed full of stuff that it's hard. It's nice that it counts as an enchantment, so Michiko's Reign of Truth will count it as far as giving more of a buff to things. But the problem with this deck is we can only play so many cards that aren't artifacts before we hit a point where we're playing too many, and now the deck just isn't working as efficiently as it needs to, because you need to constantly have like this threshold of artifacts to hit where your deck is synergizing properly and constantly triggering the Wurmlet and the Automaton. So you really have to be careful with how many non-artifacts that you add and make sure it's a sweet spot. But it's a nice silver lining that it at least counts as an enchantment, so it'll count towards Michiko's Reign of Truth. We've also got a lot of card advantage in this. Now that we have Mishra's Research Desk, we can play 4 copies of that and 4 Experimental Synthesizers, which means we're constantly playing cheap artifacts, digging for more, playing more. Like, the ability to snowball by playing tons of artifacts because of both of these cards, and both of them counting as artifacts, and both of them only costing 1 mana, and both of them being able to be used twice in different ways is really great. The Research Desk being able to grab the best card of the top 2 helps the deck really go over the top and find more value. Whereas the Experimental Synthesizer can be better in certain situations in that if you sacrifice it to a different ability, you still get to look for a card. Which brings us to our removal suite, which is simply 4 copies of Voltage Surge. The deck wins fast enough that you shouldn't need hard removal beyond doing 4 damage. Sometimes Shield Ray can be a pain, but there's plenty of ways to get around that. We've got Yotia Declares Wars Chapter 2 as another removal spot. So between the 4 copies of Yotia Declares War and the 4 Voltage Surges, the deck does pretty well. The last card I really want to talk about excuse me, is this Hall of Tagsin. Now, I've been going back and forth on whether or not I should use this, but in playtesting, I was using it because I think it's at least worth considering, and I think it can add some value as just one copy. The first thing worth noting is the fact that we can filter color mana of any color through this by paying 1, which is nice when you're playing a ton of pain lands, because a lot of times when we get to the mid-game, like, we don't need a ton of mana. The deck is very low to the ground. We start getting enough lands in play, we get to the point where we're running out of cards to play, and we can't use all of our mana every turn anyway. So being able to tap a pain land for a colorless and not take damage, and then using Hall of Tagsin to filter that into a colored mana so that we can play the one artifact that we drew that's in our hand, sometimes matters and really helps us conserve life. But also the other ability to pay for it, tap it, and create a tapped Power Stone token is some nice silver lining extra value in a deck like this, because that artifact coming into play will again trigger our Wurmlet, put another counter on the Wurmlet, gain us a life, and then also count towards things like Michiko's Reign of Truth. Also let us tap more things in subsequent turns on Chapter 2 for Yotia Declares War to kill a bigger threat. And also, at the end of the day, we can use it for mana if we untap with it and play some of our colorless things like Patchwork Automaton, Weatherlight Compleated, or just use it to pump extra mana into a Draconic Destiny to get to the win. So I think one copy is at least worth exploring. Jury's still out on if it's good enough, considering the fact that it's a 3-color deck and it can get tricky on the curve coming up with the colors that we need. But I think the benefits are at least worth considering, so we are running one copy in this version of the deck. And that's the deck. We've got one beside you, one Sokenzan. It makes sense. We want our green and red early. We want them untapped, so it's good to play those. Yeah, 3 Rockfall Vale and Sundown Pass, 4 Sundown Pass, because they're cards that can come into play untapped turn 3 and later, so they are the optimal non-pain land dual lands to be using in an aggressive deck where you want to hopefully play all of your lands untapped every turn. The deck's super fast, but what's cool about this deck is it has a lot of staying power. So unlike a lot of other aggro decks, if you run out of steam, you can still draw just the right card to snowball into gaining a ton of value, and then all of a sudden it feels like a mid-range deck and it's really holding its own. And can still eke out wins, which is really, really cool. So, this is the deck. Let's check out the games. This looks fine. I'll actually probably start the tapped land this time, too. Well, no, we can do this. This will be good. I'll play beside you on 2. Thalia is kind of unfortunate. Do you have Swords to Plowshares? Nope. I assume he hits my other automaton? He might hit my Goldhound. Goldhound would probably be the best hit, because then no matter what, I can only play 1 card next turn. And Goldhound has first strike, so can block Thalia all day. He doesn't know what to hit. Goldhound would be the thing that would set me back. Either Goldhound or Yotia Declares War if he's worried about the removal on Chapter 2. Okay, he names the automaton. Fine with that. Voltage Surge, eh? That's a thing. could kill Thalia. We're just gonna hold up Voltage Surge here. If he doesn't swing at all, we Voltage Surge Thalia. And if he does, we Voltage Surge the Peacekeeper and block with the Goldhound. Oh geez. Well, now we have decisions, don't we? We'll do this. Submit 0. Because we get to keep our Goldhound that way. And I think that's better for now. Do we Yotia Declares War to kill the Thalia? Or do we wait until next turn and use it to kill Adeline? Tricky. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I think we need to play an artifact no matter what, so that we can trigger Automaton, so that we can block Adeline. We'll just pass the turn. If we can untap with this board state, we'll be in pretty good position. Sure. Use your whole turn to kill my Automaton and give me an artifact. Love it. By Adeline, or rather, Thalia. We can almost kill Jerkface. Gonna do it like this. No attacks. Next turn we'll kill Adeline with Chapter 2 of Yotia Declares War. And then maybe just swing in with Draconic Destiny. Really depends. I honestly don't hate that. That's fine. Das ist fine. Tap any number. Goodbye. Goodbye, Norma Jean. I would like to play multiple artifacts. Don't think that's possible. Let's do it like this. Smash for 8. presenting lethal next turn. From out of nowhere. It's out of nowhere. Alright, so you lose. Cool. I don't know why you didn't hit the Ornithopter. You ding-dong. Hooray for school! Hooray for me! We will try and make this work. We will lead with... I mean, I guess we lead... I guess we lead with this, so we have the option of voltage surging, if we need to. Yeah, that was smart. That guy would have been difficult to deal with for my automatons. Now not so much. Cut down? Oh, Fable. Very interesting. Oh my god. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Double Reign of Truth next turn. And then another one the turn after. Absolute insanity. We might not have gotten our worm, but... oh my. No blocks. Welcome. What? What? Alright. Alright, we're doing it. You can't do anything about it. You're dead next turn. Unless you spend pretty much your whole turn killing one of my dudes. In which case, you might still be dead. Well, you'll have the reflection. You'll have to block with the reflection, basically. Yeah, pretty much orange. Have to agree with you there. Alrighty. Alrighty. Good luck. Oh my god. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I I mean, he can kill one of them. It's gonna take his whole turn. And it also means he has to chump block with either his Harvester or his Flesh Gorger. Be it. Oh, jeez. Bandit. I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna get you. Drawn a card. Welcome to Earth. Interesting. We have no mana left, so... rough. Makes sense, I guess. Although you should have killed the one with 2 counters. Who'd have thought 4 Michiko's Reign of Truths would be good? Another Flesh Gorger. We can make everything bigger with the Hall of Tagsin too. In fact, we're going to try and trick them. We're going to try and trick them. Hello, Power Stone. Thanks for the sub, Jiha, over on YouTube. Appreciate you. Now we get both of his Flesh Gorgers. He will go up to 11, but it's fine. I think we just win next turn. Resolve. Harvester. You can make a Harvester and then kill a Portrait. Or I guess you could kill the Automaton if you wanted. You gotta do it now though. Okay, I guess chump blocking is better. Don't know why we did it that way. That was a mistake. And if you don't know, now you know, you know. Hall of Tagsin. End the turn. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. I would hope so with 4 Michiko's Reign of Truth. Good lord. It's gonna be close. Oh, ain't gonna be close. Casey's got cut down. Goodbye. Pump it 5. Good night. I will keep this. We're gonna start with the forest and the wurmlet. Alright, we'll go Brushland. Research desk. Research desk. Swing 2. My oh my. Alright, we'll start with the synthesizer. Get a counter on the wurmlet. We'll play that. I guess we'll play the Ronin. Gain a life. Smash for 5. And we will crack the desk for next turn. Yeah. Looks good to me. Does mean we need to top deck a land if we want to also play an artifact for the wurmlet. Problem is if he has removal, and he almost definitely has removal, he just blows us out if we play the Destiny on the wurmlet, right? Well, no, it'd have to be exile removal. Well, no. If he does it in response to me playing it. Yeah, I'm not taking the chance. I'm not falling into that trap. Not doing it. Dissipate. Sure. Well then. Maybe I'll hit a land. No dice. Guess we'll go with a synthesizer. Swing 3. And lose the Draconic Destiny. Consider. Main phase consider. Jesus, look at all these synthesizers. Alright, start with the synthesizer. Get some counters. Exile a thing. Oh my god. We'll play another wurmlet. I guess. Goldhound. Just every synthesizer, research desk, and wurmlet in the deck. Basically. We will smash. We do not have enough mana for a Wandering Emperor. My voice cracked. It's because I'm cooler than you. Tony Dynamite. Tranquil Cove. Vanquish the World. Okay. Well, luckily we have a ton of card advantage to sort of come back. There's our 4th wurmlet. Good lord. We had another mana. We could equip Rabbit Battery to the wurmlet. Swing for 3. Farewell? Farewell will be rough. We'd be left with 1 synthesizer. But if he's playing Vanquish the Horde, Then I don't know if he's using Farewell. Come on. Wait, did he not hit the graveyard? Oh, man. Oh, man. He didn't hit the graveyard, guys. Well, we gotta get some value. Before he does. Before he does hit the graveyard. Leave this in our hand. If he farewells again, we want him to remove a board built off of these cards from the graveyard so we still have our stuff in hand. Theoretically. Right. Research desk. Swing one. Play out the desk. Could theoretically win next turn. But it would be risky. We could start Yotia Declares War on Chapter 3. And just swing for the win. But he would have to be tapped out in order for me to actually try and do that. We're going to start with the synthesizer. Interesting. Play the forest. Play Kumano. Oh boy. Let's crack this and see what we hit. Oh, another Kumano! Let's swing. Did we get there? No. Lame.
I am the Emperor of Kamigawa. I will protect my people. You're done.
He's still in it. I think we do this. Make disappear. Okay.
I have got new moves to teach you.
So close. So close. Start on chapter 2. Kill the Emperor.
I'll be back.
Kumano. Get you down to 3. Coming in next turn. Do you have another farewell? My God in heaven. Tranquil Cove. Hullbreaker Horror. With only 1 mana. If we had another artifact to turn into a creature right now, we would win. Activate only as a sorcery. Do we get in for 2? That's the question. Oh, God. Alright, replay the synthesizer. Oh my god, if only we had hit that before. Wait, why can't I play anything? The fuck? Hello? God damn it. Thanks for being awesome, Arena. Loves to bug out on me. Loves to bug out on me. Loves it. Can't get enough of it. Dynamite! Can I play something now? No, you're just not going to let me play anything. What the fuck? This is dumb. Apparently, I'm just not allowed to play the game. This one looks a little weird. We'll try it. We will try it. Alright, Sundown Pass. Pass the Sundown. That's awkward. Goldhound. Do we want to sack our Goldhound to play a Wurmlet? I guess we don't have to make that decision. Good old mono red. I guess we'll start with a synthesizer. We might hit a green source. Nope, we did hit a land, which is nice. So we'll go Goldhound, Eater, pass. Storm Sweet Seeker hit me for 6. I go to what, 14? That's fine. Yotia. Do we kill something? No. I think we'll start with this. And then we'll go like that. Pass turn. Now he has to use removal on the Goldhound. And he didn't. which is awkward. Oh, I guess he can make the Firebrand bigger so it can't block. I didn't even think of that. Nice. Go to 5. And we have to. We just have to, unfortunately. Do we need the 2/2 bad enough? We would lose Death Touch on our Wurmlet. I guess we just play one of these. But I don't think we swing. We have to hold back blockers, unfortunately. It still makes sense to play it, because the quicker it turns into a creature, the sooner we'll have access to that creature. All of that is fine. That will kill all your stuff. We'll take 3. To 1 target artifact. Can we win? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We will keep 7. Alright, we will lead with Karplusan Forest and play the Wurmlet. Cuts it down. Expected. Alright, we'll go Thran Portal for red. We'll go Goldhound. And then we'll go Ronin. And then we'll swing 2. Another cut down. Sure. Alright. Hit for 2. Pass turn. I mean, next turn I guess we hit for 4. Ronin with Eater. Or do we need to Voltage Surge that thing? Hard to say. We're gonna try it this way. This at least allows us to 1-for-1 the Ronin for the adversary, instead of using 2-for-1s with our Voltage Surges by either playing both or sacrificing something. 3 cut downs. Alrighty. Oh, and then a mana sink when you're out of gas. How lucky. Let's see what we hit. Probably just end up nuking the sleever. Play the Wurmlet. Pass the turn. When he goes to level up his sleeper, we respond with a surge. That makes things incredibly awkward for him. We don't have to sacrifice anything. Nice. Crowd surfing. Night of Dusk's Shadow. That's fine. We'll go to 10. We will go to 10. I think we want to start by smacking you and sacking that. Honestly, we just need to sack that and hope to hit something decent. Alright. So we'll go like this. We'll go like this. We'll go like that. And then we'll go like this. And then we'll swing 4. Not too bad. If he can kill the Wurmlet, we're in rough shape. But even his 4th cut down won't do that. If we can untap and play the Weatherlight Compleated before anything else dies, I think we're in pretty good shape. Can't play anything with 2 toughness. It does anyway. Awkward. Can't really swing in. We gotta prevent damage, right? Potentially. We'll go to 3. And we'll crack back for 9 plus whatever we draw. Problem is, if the Wurmlet dies, we lose our ability to gain life. I think that's a problem. In order to basically save 2. Alright. We're going to lead with this. Gain a point of health. Play a Hall of Tagsin. Crack this. Why are you trying to use the Thran Portal? Oh, I guess because you need red. Yes. Oof. Guess we'll do something like that. You can't swing with shielded without us killing shielded. So we'll go to 1. Shielded will die. We'll get a bunch of triggers on our Weatherlight. We might actually need Sokenzan. That gives us 2 boys to block with. How many triggers we got here? That is tough. Is there anything else that can give us more value than that? I don't think so. We're gonna have to keep it on top. Kinda wanna blow him out by doing this in response to attacks, but that doesn't let me equip either to one of them. So I think I just have to take the chance that he doesn't have removal, or that he does have removal, in order to make sure I can trade with the adversary. Because I think if I don't trade with the adversary, I'm just dead. So we'll get some scries and some draws. Well, we won't get any draws. Don't think that's good enough. Not this late in the game. Not this close to death. Synthesizer. That helps. So much pain land, though. So much pain land. Hall of Tagsin. Oh my god. I can't believe we won that game. Thanks so much to anyone that stayed to the end. I want to do something special for you guys, so comment down below what card or synergy or card interaction or combo, so on and so forth, you'd like to see me try to build a deck around. And if this video gets to 100 likes, I will pick one of those comments and I will build that deck. So comment, share, thank you. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. We are pushing hard for that 1,000 subscriber mark, so please consider subscribing. Hit that button. There's a circle in the middle over there. Hit that. Subscribe. Tell all your friends to do it. Thank you. Also, give this video a like so more people can see it. If you'd like more PlayStation and console game coverage, we've got that down below. And if you'd like more Magic the Gathering coverage, there's more of that somewhere off over that way. Do all the things.